So welcome to today's webinar, hosted through the New England Prevention Technology Transfer Center. This is one of our prevention and action webinars about the development and dissemination of the You Think You Know campaign in Connecticut. Before we start, just sharing a little information about the New England PTTC. We are supported through a cooperative agreement from SAMHSA. And of course, the opinions expressed in our webinars are those of the presenters and not the official position of SAMHSA or the Department of Health and Human Services. Just a couple of Zoom notes. I know many people are used to Zoom by now, but you can mute and unmute and turn your video on and off. Feel free to turn your videos on if you want. It's always nice to see people. We have the chat, so you can type in your questions and comments throughout the webinar. And then also we have the reactions option, and that's where if we get to Q&A, it has that raise hand feature, which is helpful. So that's where you can find that raise hand. If you don't like the subtitles popping up at the bottom of your screen, you can look for this live transcript button, and there's an option to either hide or show the subtitles, so you can change that to your preferences. And if you need any, if you have any technical issues, you can send me a direct chat in the Zoom chat, or you can send me an email. I'll have both open during the webinar. Before we get started, just who we are with the New England Prevention Technology Transfer Center. We are part of the National PTTC network, translating prevention science into trainings and technical assistance products to guide the prevention workforce in adopting and implementing prevention science in their communities. We do a whole range of different types of TA services and products, webinars like this one, online courses. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to in-person events for those of you in our New England communities, online distance learning communities, and tailored intensive technical assistance. So if you are in New England and you need some TA, please feel free to reach out to us. And here's some of our contact information. And if you're joining us from outside New England today, we have this map of the whole PTTC network. You're always welcome to join our New England events, but you can also check out your regional center wherever you're located. And lastly, just wanted to share this from our network. With the PTTC network, we strive to use affirming language to promote the application of evidence-based and culturally informed practices. Just always keeping in mind that the words we use have power, and we invite you to do the same in your own work. I think that's it for me. So I am now going to turn it over to our presenters for today. So we have with us Melissa McGarry, the project director for Trumble's Prevention Partnership in Connecticut, Katie Gallo, the founder and CEO of Daydream Communications, Giovanna Mozzo, director of the Hub in Connecticut, and I think Anna Gasinski is also going to be joining the group today. So I am going to hand it over now to our presenters and let them share their work with you.
Thank you, Kristen. Good morning, everyone. First, I apologize. You're not going to be able to see my face today. My Wi-Fi is acting a little wonky, and I want to make sure that I conserve my Wi-Fi without having the video on. So I do apologize. But good morning, and thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day to hear how we develop You Think You Know campaign and how you can disseminate it in your community. We'd like to also thank Kristen Erickson and New England PTTC for taking an interest, that's always a mouthful, taking an interest in the campaign and wanting to spread awareness about it. Kristen already introduced us, but this is what we look like. These are our pretty faces and our job descriptions and background. So I won't go through that. Thank you. We will go over how we came together, the counterfeit pill problem, the collaborations we have and made throughout this process. Katie will go through how she created and disseminated the campaign, and lastly, some lessons we learned throughout the process. So talking about the Connecticut prevention infrastructure, the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services holds the Federal Prevention Block Grant for the state. And they have identified one RBHAO in each of the DEMAS's regions. Katie, if you don't mind going back. Nope, back where the map is. There we go. Thank you. So for each region that you see, each color is a region for the state, and the state has determined that in each region, there is one regional behavioral health action organization. And these entities are meant to be a strategic community partner who works across the behavioral health care continuum. Each RBHAO, also known, is responsible for a range of planning, education, and advocacy of behavioral health needs and services for children and adults. One of the reasons why we were able to really come together is because as the RBHAO, we receive local prevention council pass-through dollars, and we're able to fund our local communities with those dollars to do prevention work. On top of, we are also awarded the state opioid response initiative, which allows us to then provide up to $5,000 in opioid prevention to the communities at large as well. So we're able to use these two funding sources from DEMAS to be able to support our community. And at a regional level, we're able then to support and provide extra dollars or extra support in really gathering people and coalitions. I already talked a little bit about what does an RBHAO do. I know some of you may know who we are, what we do, but those that are not part of our state, this is really an infrastructure that for us, it's a newer infrastructure, but we do rely on each other to provide support, pooling of dollars, because we do have limited funding to the local prevention councils, and some of them are even run by volunteers. So they may not have the expertise that another coalition may have because of having a DFC funded program or any other entity. And then these are other prevention coalitions that are supported by these grants throughout our state. And this is also another reason why we're able to come together and really support the You Think You Know campaign. And we'll talk a little bit more about funding and pooling dollars, and really what Melissa likes to say is, you know, getting a bang for your buck. You can go to the next slide. Oh,
it's frozen.
See, it has to be the weather.
Oh my goodness. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, yay, you're here.
Yes. So just like the rest of the country, Connecticut is no different to having an influx and an issue with counterfeit prescription pills being available to anyone. This is our Connecticut fatal overdose data just from the last couple of years. You could see from 2017 to 2021 how we've really just kind of escalated on the number of deaths, but also the prevalence of fentanyl in our toxicology from Office of Chief Medical Examiner. And in this chart, I just wanted to highlight in Connecticut, what we have started to see is xylazine. I know that's not the same for the entire country, but in the Northeast, it is. So in the 2019, you could see the last column being that dark blue showing up. So you could see how that's increasing, and that's really becoming a issue, especially in the counterfeit pill supply in the Northeast in particular. So xylazine, if you're not familiar, it is a veterinary medication that is a sedative with muscle relaxant properties. Okay. So although we have toxicology and it's helpful, it's not timely. So through New England HIDTA, which is the high intensity drug trafficking area, and the task forces in Connecticut, we have 4. We're able to generate some of the data from the seizures that law enforcement confiscates. And in Connecticut, we had over 86,000 counterfeit pills seized in 2021 alone. So you can imagine that's a huge amount along. This doesn't include what the DEA also seizes on a yearly basis. So in addition, on New England HIDTA, we have a forensic lab examiner at the Death Division of Scientific Services, which is our criminal justice lab in Connecticut, testing these counterfeit pills. So we're really able to understand exactly what is inside these pills, which is making them so dangerous. And you can see here, Connecticut, we had seen oxycodone pills that contain fentanyl and other synthetics. In Connecticut, we're seeing particularly parafluorofentanyl analog more frequently than any of the other analogs. Counterfeit pressed benzodiazepines, so some including fentanyl, but also some illicitly synthetic manufactured benzodiazepines like itizolam, which is more common in Connecticut as well. And then the last one is counterfeit pills that included synthetic naphthenoids like methamphetamine. These are actual seizures from 2021. So this one you can see it's an M30 that was seized in Fairfield County that was supposed to be oxycodone hydrochloride, and it is fentanyl. And then the next one was seized in Litchfield County, and it should have contained 4 amphetamine salts, being an Adderall 30, and it actually contained methamphetamine. So, to the next slide. So these counterfeit pills do pose a serious public health threat across the nation. As you can see in this map, this is from safemedicines.org. In October of 2021, almost every single state was red, which means that it had a death reported from a counterfeit pill. And as you can guess, in 2022, this map is most likely completely red at this point, with every state having at least 1 death from a counterfeit pill.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we took that information that Anna and our HIDTA partners were presenting and looked to use that to educate our community. So next slide. So personally, my name is Melissa McGarry. I'm the project director of TPAUD, Trumble's Prevention Partnership. We're a DFC funded coalition in southwestern Connecticut. And like many of you, we've been working on a number of different substance abuse prevention challenges. And we had a local family approach us in late 2020. They had lost their 25-year-old son to a fentanyl overdose during the COVID shutdown. He thought he bought a Xanax pill from someone he knew for 7 years and thought it was a Xanax pill, and unbeknownst to him, it actually contained fentanyl, and he died in his sleep. And the family approached us as the local, prevention coalition and said, you do such great work around vaping and alcohol and marijuana, and we really would like you to tackle this issue and help families understand the real danger of these counterfeit medications that their young people might be taking. So, I do what many of you would do. We started looking around to see what already existed. And what we discovered is that there really wasn't any good resource for families. And a lot of the information that was out there was actually funded and provided by the big pharmaceutical companies. And it focused just on kids getting high with pharmaceuticals. And it also really seemed to focus also on like patent protection. You know, they were trying to protect their patents, and nothing was really comprehensive about not only the other reasons kids might be using counterfeit medications, but why they would use them and how they would use them. So we really looked to find a campaign that we could use for our families in our communities that could educate about those things, that could educate about how the young people are getting them. And, you know, social media opens up so much access for young people, but why they were using them. We wanted a practical tools and information for our families that could connect them to the supports and resources that already existed, both within our state and nationally. So we wanted just not, you know, the scare tactics of this is what could go wrong, but also the resources and supports. And then the other thing, as Giovanna explained, you know, Connecticut is 167 fiefdoms, 167 individual towns. Most of them have their own local governments. Most of them have their own prevention coalitions with varying degrees of funding. You have some towns with hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding and others that are doing prevention at a very small scale with maybe $2,000 a year in funding. So we wanted to build something that could be used across our state and could be scalable depending on the resources and the capacity of the community. So those communities with tiny budgets and volunteer forces could access this information and could maybe access some of the aspects of the campaign to help educate their community. And then those of us who have more money could scale it up. So those were the requirements that we came into this discussion. And, you know, as a local prevention council, I try not to do too much. We try not to do too much that is just hyper local, because we all share so many risk factors and local conditions. So we put the word out, and, you know, one of the benefits of COVID is Zoom, right? So we put the word out and said, you know, who wants to work on this campaign with us? And ended up partnering with quite a number of the regional behavioral health action organizations, those RIBAHOUs that Giovanna was referencing, as well as some local coalitions. And we worked to develop this campaign, which you're going to find out more about.
So I will tell you how You Think You Know came to be. So the result of this problem, we developed You Think You Know, which is the public awareness campaign that is in Connecticut. And the goal is to raise awareness of these counterfeit pills and educate teens and young adults, as well as their caregivers, about the dangers. So the concept was really based on how real these pills look. So you can't tell the difference without lab tests. So the campaign name came from that. You think you know what you're taking, but unless it comes from a pharmacy, you really can't be sure. So some of the challenges that I faced when developing the campaign, we had to narrow the message. There were a lot of things that the group wanted to say, and we had to focus that so we weren't confusing people. We also had to balance, as Melissa said, the scare tactic and educational message. We wanted to share the truth, which is scary, but we didn't want it to be all scary. And we had to address the reasons that people are turning to the prescription drugs in the first place. And also, the campaign was developed in collaboration with 10 different organizations, so it was a challenge to come up with a campaign that everybody agreed on. And also, the promotion budget was not large for this. So the campaign started in September of last year, and we did heavy promotion beginning in October, and then we did phase 2 of the campaign, which kicked off this January. So phase 1 included bus ads, billboards, a sponsored story through Hearst Media, website banner ads, print ads, and PR outreach. So the website launched in September 1st of last year. You can see the information that's included. We have where they get the drugs, commonly misused drugs, why they're using them, a section about drugs on social media, mental health resources, as well as treatment and support resources, and then targeted resources for parents and caregivers, as well as the teens and young adults and educators. And the top 3 pages on the website to date are the parent resources, the drugs on social media, and the source of drugs. So for social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Instagram has the most followers, but Facebook and Twitter has performed the best in terms of reach. So our social media following continues to grow. It's still small, but we're reaching a lot of people. So to date, we only have 72 people who like the page and 114 followers on Facebook, but we've reached over 22,000 people through our posts since the campaign launched, and our content has been seen over 25,000 times. So even though everything is still small, we're getting our message out there to a large audience. And the top Facebook posts to date are about common places to hide drugs, talking to kids about fentanyl, and the emoji codes that the DEA put out. You can see that the common places to hide drugs was shared over 14 times, so that brought in over 2,000 people who saw that post. So when you're sharing on social media, you want to encourage other people to share your message, because that's really going to boost how many people are seeing it. For Instagram, we have 152 followers, and we've posted over 200 times, and our content has been seen over 7,000 times, reaching over 6,000 people. And Twitter, again, it's small, it's 64 followers, but we've reached over 16,000 people. So since the campaign launched, we've had almost nearly 50,000 impressions on all of our social media platforms. So going into how we started promoting the campaign, in October, we started with out-of-home ads. We did bus ads and billboards. So for the buses, we did a 4-week campaign. We did king size, queen size, and bus shelter ads, and we were guaranteed a little over 3 million impressions, but working with the bus company, we were able to extend the campaign at no cost to us and doubled our impressions to over 6 million. So these buses ran in 5 key cities in Connecticut, and we chose those cities based on where the overdose rates were the highest. So for billboards, this was done by one of the regions. They had some extra funds that they wanted to dedicate to this. So they did billboards in New Haven, and there were 6 billboards that ran throughout the city. And again, that was a 4-week campaign, and these were prime spots on I-95. So the spot on I-95 alone reached over 4.8 million impressions, and the campaign itself, that promotion, had over 7 million impressions. And one of the other things we did was a sponsored story through Hearst Media. So that is paid content. You've probably seen it when you're looking at different news sites. So we wrote the article, and Hearst placed it on their news sites and also promoted it through banner ads on various national sites. So you can see the ad appeared on NBC Connecticut. It also appeared on CNN and a number of other national sites. So if you're wanting to reach a larger audience, this is a cost-effective way to do that, because you can really target that ad. So we were targeting just those 5 cities that we had mentioned before, and that was able to bring the cost down significantly. So for that resulted in over 600,000 impressions, and there were 2,500 clicks within the article. And then Region 1 had funds to dedicate to a print ad, and this was placed in the December issue of Connecticut magazine, which was distributed as a bonus distribution as a gift in the Thanksgiving issue of the newspapers. So it had an additional 40,000 paper issues delivered, and there was nearly 100,000 copies circulated, reaching a bit over 500,000 readers. And in terms of PR outreach, we developed a press release and sent that out to 40 local newspapers, blogs, and campus papers. And in that press release, we offered an interview with the family in Trumbull who lost their son. And we did receive a number of articles in local papers. We also had coverage on NBC Connecticut, both in print and on TV. And we were also featured in the HIDTA Coalitions in Action newsletter in December. So as far as phase 2, as I mentioned, that started in January of this year. We released a toolkit and began a monthly e-newsletter and a blog. So the toolkit, we really wanted to create something that people could get the materials and share them in their own communities. So we wanted them to be easy to use, provide relevant information, and allow people to insert their logo and organization information on the materials. So we have posters and flyers. There's 4 different versions that are available. There's fact sheets. We have 3 different versions. We have one that's a general information sheet, one targeted towards parents and caregivers, and one for the young adults themselves. And all of these can be customized with somebody's logo and organization information, or you could just print out the ones that are as is. We also have a postcard, and there's 2 versions of that, and website banner ads in 6 different sizes. And we have over 40 social media posts right now with the graphics, and we're continuing to add more to that on a regular basis. So I'm going to take you over to the toolkit. So this is where it lives on the website. We have it in the resource section right here. And in addition, we have the templates for the out-of-home ads. We also have the logos and branding guidelines. And to get these, you just fill out the form, and then you're sent an email with access to a Google Drive folder to download the materials. The blog launched in March, and we really wanted to create something that was updated on a regular basis and provide a lot of information on various different topics that tie into this. So a challenge with the blog is writing all of the content. So in order to offset that, we have reached out to local experts, and they've agreed to become guest bloggers. So we've had one who has written about losing a family member to substance use, somebody's personal experience with substance use, information about certain types of drugs and trends. So the goal is to publish 2 a month, and one is a guest blog and one is written by us. And the reason to have a blog, like I mentioned, it keeps your website fresh. It updates the website, which is good for your search engine optimization. Google favors websites that are updated on a regular basis. And it also feeds content for your social media. So you don't have to go looking for as much information. You're creating it yourself and can get it out there. The newsletter goes out once a month, and we're using that to obviously feature our resources and information, but we're also highlighting what's going on across the country with prescription drug misuse and counterfeit pills. And we're promoting that on our website through social media, and we're also encouraging all of the RBHAOs and LPCs to promote the newsletter and the campaign itself through their outlets. And it froze again. There we go. All right, so for Region 1, we just did a promotion. It's actually ongoing. So Region 1 had funds to dedicate to promoting this campaign. And so 12 of the 14 local prevention councils pooled together resources for a 3-month campaign in the region. It's made up of a banner ad campaign targeting parents and teens and young adults, and that is done through Hearst Media again. We also had a large digital display ad in a local mall. It's a 3-story digital display, and that was mainly just for brand awareness, since that supports the message that they're seeing in other ways. And we also are doing bus ads in 3 of the metro areas in Connecticut, and geofencing ads. These are ads that you target to certain zip codes that you choose. And when people are on their phones in those zip codes and visiting various websites, your ad will pop up on those sites. It's again very targeted, which makes it more cost effective, and you're really reaching the people that you want to. So the cost for this campaign was $15,200, and since the hub was able to offset some of the costs, each town only had to contribute a little over $700. So it was an affordable campaign for these towns, and you got a lot for that money. So this is just a look at some of what went up. This is the display in the mall. So it was by Bloomingdale's, and it was on this elevator that is the main elevator in the mall, and you can see it from all 3 levels. And the buses, and these are the banner ads that were being served on Hearst and also for the geofencing. And these ads direct people back to the You Think You Know website, but we created a special landing page highlighting the different organizations that contributed to this campaign. So they also received coverage and credit for contributing. So to date, the campaign, based on the first 2 weeks of it, we've seen a 471% increase in new users to the website and 145% increase in page views. So it's doing its job, and it's driving traffic. And we've also gotten 40 new social media followers. And the bus ads, our guaranteed impressions are over 1.2 million. And we do have the possibility for more if we're able to receive that free extension again. And geofencing, based on 2 weeks of data, we've reached nearly 300,000, had 300,000 impressions and 855 clicks. And they let us know that compared to other similar ads related to substance use, our ad was performing 261% higher than the average. And the banner ads, they've generated nearly 200,000 impressions and 313 clicks, which was 220% higher click-through rate than the average banner ad on Hearst Media. So people are really interested in this topic and clicking to see what it's all about. And the campaign has won an award so far. It's won a Gold Marcom Award, which recognizes marketing and communications. And the article also received an honorable mention. So as far as helpful tips for when you're doing a campaign in your area, one of the big things is to set realistic goals. Know that you're not going to get millions of social media followers right away, and you might not get everything you want right away. Keep it small to start and grow it as you go, and keep your message focused. We wanted to get so much out there, but we really focused on the problem and why people are turning to these drugs in the first place, because that really is key. We need to educate people about other ways to cope with their mental health issues and other problems that they're facing. And definitely look to get the most for your money. Don't rely on just one promotion. You might be able to get a billboard, and that's great visibility, but you don't reach as many people if you're just getting that one thing. So you really want to reach people in more than one way. So if you can get a billboard and website ads and a print ad, you have a greater chance of reaching people and getting your message out there. And really knowing your audience. So if you know you want to reach young people, a print ad is probably not the best way to do that. If you want to reach parents, think about where they're consuming media, places that they're going, and just think about where you yourself see ads. Put yourself in that position, and what do you notice? And those might be good spots to look. So come up with creative ways of getting your message out there. And negotiating rates is important, because the first price that these companies come to you with are usually not the final answers. Especially if you go back and say we're a nonprofit with a small budget, some of these ads I've gotten down to half the price of their original quote. So there is room for negotiation. And getting all of your stakeholders on board to promote the campaign. So for us, we have the 5 RBHAOs, and we have the LPCs in each community and the state as a whole. So we need to get that message out through all of those groups, and not just one place. If people are getting that message from every avenue, then they're more likely to really pay attention. And know when to bring in somebody to work on these campaigns. You really know your organization and what you want to achieve, but you might not know the best way to go about achieving those goals. So a consultant can help you navigate the marketing and communications strategies and come up with cost-effective ways to achieve your goal. And when hiring a consultant, make sure that they know what is going on in this field. So they should know something about prevention and substance use and mental health. A big agency might not be the best choice. They look flashy and everything, but a different agency might have more expertise in your field. And really analyze what is performing well and adjust your campaign as needed. So we're constantly looking at what's performing well, what's not, and making changes as we go. And, you know, that's going to be an ongoing process. So we only hope that this is going to continue to grow and, you know, allow this to get out there to a greater number of people. So Melissa is going to go into some of the lessons that we've learned.
Yeah, building a bit more on what Katie was talking about. You know, we kind of look back and realize that you know, we've definitely learned some lessons through this process, and I think the sustainability piece of this has been really important. So you don't want to build something and then it goes stagnant and doesn't get continued and no longer is useful. So we really did a lot of thinking about how to sustain this, and I think tapping into those statewide prevention resources has really helped. This campaign was added to our state's, like the list of campaigns that our state endorses as part of their state opioid response grant. So, you know, we've really broadened our reach through the state by tapping into that. That collaboration to save money, like I cannot emphasize that enough. Too often local prevention folks go it alone. And when you work together and you pool your expertise and you pool your resources and you pool your money, and you also pool your contacts and collaborations and partnerships, you can really expand your reach of your campaign, and you can make something so much more significant. We never would have been able to do this on our own, obviously. So tapping into the resources of the statewide network really helped. The scalable piece, as I talked about earlier, you know, you really would like to try to create something that you could, you know, scale up or scale down. And that's part of the sustainability as well. You know, we're a year 8 DFC grantee, so we're trying to figure out what our, you know, prevention work is going to look like in a couple of years. So to still have access to this campaign, even if we have less money, was really important. I can't emphasize enough finding the right consultant. Just because someone's a marketer doesn't necessarily mean they've got the skills you want to be a social marketer. It's different. You know, we're trying to influence different behavior. You know, we're not trying to necessarily sell a product. So finding someone who's got the expertise in substance use, mental health, behavior marketing, you know, that was really crucial for us. And finding Katie, this is her niche. So she understood where we were going, and, you know, she was able to find us great, you know, data points and things, because when you're publicizing, you know, data and information, you want to make sure it's sourced well and it's reliable. The other piece we didn't talk about is, although the fact that Anna is part of this is evidence, is that using our HIDTA folks, because sometimes, you know, they're working more on the enforcement side of things or the supply side of things, and then we're doing, you know, prevention work. And we're really fortunate to have that partnership in Connecticut. And so having them at the table, so they, you know, churn out all this data, but how we can use our campaign to translate it to our, you know, families and communities, it was really important to have them at the table. And the fact that they have a prevention focus was really valuable. And then the other thing is, you'll notice, like, you think you know is kind of a general tagline. So we were careful to create something that could adapt. You know, right now the opioid crisis looks the way it looks with fentanyl and counterfeit medications, but if new trends and new crises emerge, we think that this campaign can adapt and can evolve as we need it to. So that kind of ties back into the sustainability expert. The biggest lesson, of course, is just collaboration and how much you can do when you collaborate with other people. So it's been a really amazing experience for us as local prevention people. And then, you know, something that we're super proud of and our coalition members are super proud of. And, you know, it's just been a great experience all over. So I guess we'll open it up to questions. Kristen?
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. And I know there was some chat in the chat along the way too. So yeah, if anyone has questions now, feel free to go ahead and you can drop those in the chat or use that raise hand feature, and you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. One question I'm sure people have is, are these for folks in other states who might want to use some of these resources? Is that toolkit, can folks from other states access and download that toolkit to use in their local communities, or work with you somehow in getting some of those resources?
Yes, so the toolkit is available to anybody, and one important thing to point out is we have created materials along the way that different communities have needed. So the postcard came up because one community requested that. So we can definitely, work to provide other materials. The materials that are on the site right now are free. If it was something brand new, there would be a fee associated with creating that specifically. But the materials that are up there now are free for anybody.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's very exciting. There was a question from earlier. Someone else answered to the question. Somebody had asked if Connecticut also uses the hidden in plain sight trainings in communities, but it looks like Kirsten jumped in to say that yes, that is used in Connecticut as well. Any other questions or just comments? I know for those in the northern New England states, we tend to be a little bit behind the southern states in these trends. So I think for those of us in the northern states, Maine and New Hampshire, this timing for you all to share this information is really timely. So hopefully communities here will maybe be able to get ahead of this problem a little bit and hopefully avoid some of those consequences that many other states have experienced.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a comment. So to Melissa's point, I am in partnership with New England HIDTA, but every state currently has an overdose response strategy team out of their HIDTA. So please, if you're in another state, reach out to your public health analyst and your drug intelligence officers, because there is a lot more information out there. And what we found in Connecticut is that for the first few years, we really had trouble connecting what the HIDTAs and the prevention folks can do. So this was just one of those topics that really fit and were married well. So I really highly encourage, and I'm going to put it in the chat, like the title, you can just go on the HIDTA website and their contact information is there. So
great. Fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from folks? And I would definitely encourage you all to visit the website, to the You Think You Know website, and look at more in depth at some of those other resources. I know the other thing that came to my mind during your presentation was the DEA also has one pill can kill campaign, also kind of addressing that issue of fentanyl or unknown substances in counterfeit pills. So they have some other resources and advertisements that you can use on social media too. So if you can really cover the topic, depending on kind of which types of messages might connect best in your communities.
And although this is, for Connecticut, it started here, but a lot of the resources on the website are national as well. It's not only for Connecticut. So I'd encourage you to go and check out all of that. There's a lot of things that can be used in any state.
Definitely. Great. Well, thanks everyone. I'm not seeing any other questions, so we can I'll leave it for one more minute, just in case any other questions come through. But if not, I really want to thank our presenters today for sharing this. I think it's such a great way to kind of show how these prevention programs can start from one request in one community and really grow to have an impact. And yes, in terms of logistics, I will send out certificates to participants for today. And somebody asked, can you define a DIO?
Yeah, I can do that. So a DIO is a drug intelligence officer, and a PHA is a public health analyst. And for the overdose response strategy, it's essentially one law enforcement entity and one public health entity. And the goal is to bridge the gap between public health and public safety around the overdose epidemic.
Great, thank you. Yeah, a lot of great resources there, especially around the data piece through the HIDTA in each state. So great. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you to our 4 presenters. Any last comments or thoughts from any of you before we sign off?
Right. I want to just thank everyone for all the positive feedback. It's lovely to see that people outside of Connecticut can see the usefulness of it, and we're here to help. Hopefully, you have all our contact information. So if there's any advice or we can give, please reach out.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Well, have a good day.